Hi there, this is Dr. Embody with Project 11, our final project. And in this one, we're going to be creating a class, much as you did in the lab where you created a vector class. Here we have a game, and so we're going to have two classes, one for moves, one for Pokemons, and then there'll be a main, which the Project 11 file, which will actually play the game. First question you might have is, can you write this without understanding the game of Pokemon? And the answer is yes, because the idea for this came from one of our TAs, and I wrote the project without knowing anything about Pokemon, except that I knew that I recognized the name because my kid used to play it many years ago. So just a couple of things here that hopefully will help you out, and some things that I've already seen some students struggle with a little bit. So let's dive in here. So in this project, we actually have two files. There is the Pokemon.py file, and we give you a skeleton of that. And one of the things that we do is, so there's a move object, and then later on there's a Pokemon object. And in both of these, we give you the completed init file. And then you have to, and almost all of these will, particularly for the move, these are like one-line type functions, and we gave you the equal one. In the Pokemon, again, we give you the init, and we again give you the equal, and many of these are one-liners, except for the one called attack, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. All right, so those are one of our two files. The other file that we give you, has a main, right, which plays the game, and to make that playing a little bit easier, well, the first thing we do is we read in the types of moves and the various Pokemon, and then these other two. So we'll read those files before we play the game, and then how do we choose the Pokemon? How do we add the moves? And how in fact do we do a turn? Okay, and then with those in hand, that will make the main loop here a little bit easier. Okay, so one of the things that I've found is when we're doing the reading in of the moves, how in fact do we do this? Well, because we're doing some moves, you'll want to create a move. I'll call it little m, and we have to call the move class, and it will have a bunch of things that you will read from the file. So you'll read all these different items from the file. You'll make this nice little setup for the init, and then call the move that will create a move object, and then you'll be using a list. Don't use L for the name of it, but you get the idea here, and you just append that item on there, and then at some point outside the loop you'll return that list. Okay, but what I'm finding is people are forgetting to create the move. The rest of it is pretty easy to read off of that. And then when you're down here in reading the Pokemon file, everything will be the same, except you'll be creating a Pokemon type class. All right, and again, it will you'll read a bunch of things, a bunch of items from the file, and append these guys onto the list, and then return that list. And again, you're going to be calling the Pokemon constructor with that, and that's how you'll be doing the both of those. And so in our main, we'll before everything starts up, we'll call the reading of the file of moves and the reading of the file of the Pokemons, and then we'll go on and play the game. Okay, so there's something about the main project file, and in the Pokemon file, it's really the attack that's the interesting one. So if we look at the methods, there's a description here of the attack that's really quite long. But the big thing that you're calculating here is this damage, and this formula has these values: the MP, the A, the D, and the modifier. The others are just integers in there. And so where did these come from? Well, the idea is that so here MP is the power of the move. Well, the move is a move object, and so now we need to take that move and get its power. And then the same thing with the PATT and the SATT of the attacking Pokemon self or the defending Pokemon element. Opponent. All right. So how do I? And then the modifier is described down below here. So how, in fact, do I get those? Well, if I look at the classes, you go back up, and here within the Pokemon class, we see here is get the PATT, and here's get the SATT. So we can we just call that Pokemon class and get those. Similarly, how about the power of the move? Well, we find the move class here someplace. Here's the move class. It's got power, and there it is. We get the power. So what you end up doing is calling, is referring to these three objects that you have, and we even tell you here, the attacker is self, and the opponent is this one here, and so we use those objects, and we use the getters in order to get those particular values. Couple of other things to note down below. If you happen to know the game, this will be there's a few things there just to let you know what's different. If you don't know the game, you can skip that. You really don't care about that. The final thing I want to mention is the deep copy. And so when we grab a Pokemon to work from, you want to do the deep copy so that we don't keep changing the originals. All right? And so just remember to do that, and that's so we're actually really creating a copy of it. So when we do some manipulations of it, it doesn't change the original. And then there's a little note about the same instances along the way. Hopefully that gives you enough to get started with. Good luck.